Hi, everyone. Well, this is another interview in the series of Step Into Your Brilliant Purpose, the amazing book that we all got to share together and bring forth into the world. And I have Kara Goss with me, and we're all about purpose-driven life and courage to follow your dreams. So I was telling Kara, right? So these showed up in the mail yesterday, and the Audible just came out today. And so let's talk about your chapter. Let's talk about you. Let's lean in and what have you been up to, and what made you bring your chapter forward? And what's the name of your chapter? And I can look it up if you don't.
Honestly, I don't even know that I remember. I hope that doesn't sound unprepared. We just got talking and it left.
I didn't remember mine either. So hold on a second. I'm gonna look it up. That's
I believe it's called The Courage to Face Your Purpose, right?
I think that's, hold on, we're going to get this right. So I did this exact same thing. And okay, guys, if you're not noticing, we didn't plan that we're both wearing our black scholars shows over, which is just absolutely perfect. All right, I'm looking it up, and it's fun to actually have the real book now. I love books, but okay. I want to take note of The Courage to Face Your Purpose. And
yes.
So tell us who you are, what made you write your chapter, and where are you in this universe?
Well, I mean, I operate as a multidimensional healer, so working in the world of the unknown and bringing it to form, whether that's healing the mental body, the emotional body, working with energy, using remote viewing to find dogs, like all over the place. And the reason why it was so important for me to bring this chapter forward is because whenever we're getting a so-called, whether it's something way out there that maybe others would view as really woo-woo and off the charts, or even just like opening a business that you're completely passionate about, it doesn't matter. There's still always this fear, all the reasons that come up and all the reasons why we can't, or the complete opposite spectrum of having so many brilliant ideas that you can't pick and choose what you want to do. And so you stay locked in this circle and this cycle of, well, I haven't decided and I haven't decided. And so for me, when I first went through my experience and I got the call to step out into the community. I live in a very small religious community, but I didn't have the initial fear, right? I didn't worry about people judging me or what they would say. It was just this driven practice. And because there was no fear there, it just thrived. Like it was just like following my heart, and everything was aligning and everything was on purpose. But at a certain point, whether it starts off very like the kiss from the divine, eventually you're going to be called to expand and to really step out of your comfort zone. And I think we're in a time when many are stepping out of their comfort zone right now and really being called, and that's scary. And there might be obstacles and challenges in the way. And I think if you can shut out the background noise, the naysayers, the people who are trying to protect you and keep you safe, but still want you in this box, and you can break free from this box and you can dare to dream and believe in yourself, you not only transform your life, but you transform the world around you. And so for me, walking and going through all the failures and the obstacles and the horrendous uncomfortableness of expansion, it really needs to be talked about as being normal in our experience. Because, I think the best description, which I absolutely loved and fully agree with, is Joe Dispenza says, whenever you're calling back all of your power and all of your energy, it always comes back in the form of chaotic energy first. So it always feels uncomfortable, but when you can recognize it and take the steps anyway, now it becomes creative energy for us to use. So it was very important.
So within the teaching of the transformation I went through, it's that we call that resistance. And what you resist persists, and that resistance is that same energy that you push through and then gets come out on the other side.
Yeah. And you come out wiser, I think, right? If we can look at it, right? Failures are actually big wins. They're successes. They are opportunities to grow, to learn, to evolve, to be self-aware, and to say, okay, I could have done that better, or to have you sort of look back and see, okay, maybe this didn't work out. However, if I expand and look at this 360 degrees, look at myself and say, okay, well, maybe it could have gone better if I had trusted in myself a little bit more, if I had listened to myself a little bit more. So we can really evolve as people whenever we just continue to say yes to our yes and no to our no. Because that was another thing we talked about, in my chapter, is having that courage to say yes to yourself and no to another person, or another experience. Because when we're connected to only our yes and we don't do what's out of alignment, that's like a fast track. It's a fast track to what you're wanting to create, or more so what wants to be created through you.
And you had said something in the beginning that oftentimes the having all these amazing ideas and capabilities and gifts can then create this circle of perpetual spinning, and in that you don't get to move forward. So I love how you're saying that the yes to the yes and the no to the no as you continue along your path. Can you lean into that more?
Yeah, I think it's really important that, I think when we first step out on our path, of course, you know, for me and for just about every client I've ever worked with, it's always about, we're so in love with what we're doing and we want to give to the world that it almost can become sacrificial in a way. And it takes us out of our own authenticity. And then we start looking outside of ourselves for, well, what can I do that they would want? Or what can I do that would be even bigger for them to accept me? And it's something very subtle that I think we have to watch for, where we start stepping out of our authenticity and becoming a people pleaser, especially for those who were growing up and learned people pleasing from trauma and healed that. And now you're stepping out, you're bringing a service to the world. But like I said, whether that's a gift, a God-given birthright, or a physical, tangible gift, you can actually step out of your authenticity and you put your focus out here. But if you stay connected and you keep saying yes to what feels aligned for you and no to what everybody else expects of you, then you're going to actually be more of service in this world. You're going to have more aligned ideas. You're going to be in a coherent field of information that acts as your guide. Call it intuition, call it higher self, call it your angels, whatever name, resonates, call it God, whatever works for each person is totally fine. But when we start saying that no, and we start compromising ourselves, we're bringing discordant energy in. And discordant energy is not a pure channel for creation. So we start compromising ourselves. And in the subconscious, unconscious, physical body, mind element, we start kind of judging ourselves and we start to create a lack of trust with ourselves. And because now we're still outwardly focused. So, and that can play out really in every pillar of our life. Every pillar of our life. So our financials, our relationships, our business, our service work, whatever the case may be. I think it's important to explore all of those avenues, because when you're saying yes across the board, you connect yourself to this passion. And what you've discovered, I think, is you don't have to limit yourself, right? So like for me, I went through that. I stayed stuck in that cycle for a year of, well, when it came time. So I created this big community. I'll have to back up and add a precursor. I created
Which
this.
is really so important though, right?
Yeah.
Not going alone is really another element in moving forward and
100%. We can't do this alone.
Yeah.
So I had this community. I stepped out, I followed my spirit, and I was like, yes. And we developed this community in this small town, and it was amazing. We had people from all walks of life here because there was no judgment. We're just like, whatever you believe is fine. That's not what we're about. And it was growing, and we were actually drawing up the blueprints to build an even bigger center. And I got the call, and I write about this in the book, about we have to close the center and work online. And I was like, that's got to be fear. That can't be real, and it took me a while. And it didn't make any logical sense whatsoever. why I would do something like that. Like, I had been following spirit. We had been doing this work. It was amazing. So many people were being uplifted and, really coming together. So I was like, well, this has to be fear. Maybe it's just fear of expansion or going bigger, but it wasn't. It just kept coming and coming. And so I said, you know what? I don't know why. It doesn't make any sense. However, I need to shut down the center and I need to completely go and work online. And my clients didn't understand. They were confused, and I couldn't tell them anything aside from, look, I have to do this. I don't know why I have to do this, but I have to do this. And then 6 months later, the C word hit and everything was shut down. And, but going back to that, it was this trust. And then, but it became a whole different ballgame whenever you're in person or when you're working online. And I struggled for a year because I was like, well, I love working with animals. I love working with people. I love, so many different aspects of my work. I love the different levels of healing that we can do, whether that's
And it
spiritual
was
coaching.
physically in person, touching, being part of that energy.
Yeah. And then I felt like once I went online that I must need to define myself so that people could know what I do or what I represent. But I don't put a label on myself because I come to the person so empty that it's just whatever it is in that moment is what we're going to do. And every time it's different. And I struggled with that for a year. And it really kind of, because I was trying to put myself in a box. And then I realized I was like, I don't have to put myself in a box. I can still do absolutely every single thing that I do. And my friend, Steve Nobel, came up with a brilliant name, which was multidimensional soul light. And it just covered every single aspect from us being human and taking our human walk with our spiritual walk, the different levels of consciousness and experience that we may have, the struggles in the mystical world and the beauty in the mystical world, maybe releasing contracts, maybe working with animals. And so once I realized, like, I can still do whatever I want to do, I can still become an author, I can still continue to speak, I can still continue to teach, I don't need to limit myself, then everything just exploded.
So I want to lean in on the piece that you get to recognize and hear, right? Whether that's someone recognizing then that what their purpose is, living a purpose-driven life, that being able to be open to hearing that, the download from the universe, wherever else that download is coming from, that's a significant first step. And that's something that obviously you are really have now fully allow that to flow through. People that are beginning, people that are still standing, what would you say to them that they can open up to the universe to hear what their uniqueness is, what their purpose is, and to live that purpose-driven life?
I love that so much. I think that is such a powerful and important question. So I want to say, first and foremost, I think before we can open up to connecting or hearing that alignment, that higher guidance, that we have to recognize the fact that seeking after it separates us from it. And so what happens is it's more important to learn how to be still, how to heal your nervous system, how to be okay with all the chatter, and how to learn how to relax, which is why most paths start with mindfulness. It's the first activation of mindfulness and calmness. And then what begins to happen is you become much more calm and you're able to expand a little bit, and you start to get these subtle hits, and it might come through a feeling state. You might get an idea, you might see, depending on how you receive your information or your guidance or your connection. So everybody wants the end result, and they think if they're not getting the end result of that purpose, like if they're not getting exact details on what their purpose is, that they haven't found their purpose. Mine, I had no idea what I was going to be doing. I literally would just get an idea go to Walmart, go to the store, go buy this. And my purpose actually started first and foremost with healing myself because I was actually very sick. And I had been on the couch for about 8 months, unable to work, unable to take care of myself, unable to do anything. And I had a lot of physical pain. And I had been sick my whole life, but nothing like this. Like I could not move. And I think I was put in that position to rest and to heal. And I would start getting this guidance, go buy some broccoli. And it can start as subtle as this. And this is what I think most people miss because they're looking at people who've already connected and done these steps to their purpose. And we still, right? That purpose could change. Like
So
tomorrow, Maureen, we could like get a whole
it
flip.
absolutely continues to change and shift and open up as you're on that
Absolutely.
journey.
Absolutely. So when we recognize that following your purpose may start with healing ourselves, maybe go take this nutrient or go to this center, go to this course for a moment. Listen, you might just get one sentence is all you needed, that changes something within you. And you start taking the action on these subtle ideas and you start allowing this time for you to rest and you get out of the busyness of the world and you turn off your phone and you turn off YouTube and you just go outside and sit or just go inside and sit. And you can start to hear because spirit talks to you in a whisper. It's not loud. And for the majority of people, it's also not like, here's what you're going to be doing. You're going to be teaching this, or you're going to be creating this, or you're going to be launching this business. It's like you follow each step of your guidance system. And what you're doing is you're cultivating a level of trust within yourself because you are that co-creator with source. And as you build that trust, and then you align more and you create more coherence in your field because you're trusting now in yourself and your inner connection, more starts to synchronize and align. And so I didn't know that I was even on a spiritual journey. I think that's why it was so easy for me. I didn't know about purpose. These things weren't all over social media at the time whenever I started. So, and I was in a very deeply religious town. So I didn't have a spiritual center or a medium or anyone that I could connect to grab a hold of their information. I just simply started listening to this inner voice and I just took the action. So I developed the saying, listen and do. Listen and do. And a lot of people are like, yeah, but sometimes that doing is a discordant, it was wrong. Right. But we can't learn discernment if we don't. This is how we discern, it all serves us. So I think it's all serving. And then I think if I had known that I would be an author, a speaker, a healer about quantum fields and teachers of love and unity and awakening, I would have been like,
No.
I don't think so. So I was staircased that way. I was stepped into that. I had no idea where I was going or what I was doing, but I knew that it felt amazing. And I knew that whatever was happening was beautiful because I was watching not only my own life be transformed by it, but people around me were being transformed.
So, and the piece that when it comes to the connection with the energies and the other piece too is that you get to learn to elevate your energies, right? With gratitude, with generosity, with love, because as you're up higher, then you're higher to receiving higher energy. So that's a discipline in there too. But the that it can be just little itty bitty sounds that you allow yourself to be open to and surrender as you go forward.
And be willing to shift. So like, even if you're on this trajectory for one particular purpose, you may just be going there to gain some knowledge to be able to assist something else in your future. And you might get to this point and then all of a sudden you're being asked to now do something completely different. And I've seen that throw a lot of people off, right? Like it threw me off whenever I was like, wait, we're not closing the center. Why would we do that? It's going so amazing. But then it was, okay, we got you here. Now you're going to pivot. And we needed to pivot because there was protection in that. you know, it was time.
I just, so again, we get to be in this together, which
I love
that
it.
has created this community, and everyone go develop a community. Do not do it alone. But I love how you're bringing the elements of how you get to move towards your purpose and what that looks like, and aligning to that. And oftentimes with people like, but I don't know my purpose. So it's such a gift.
It is. It is. And I think we should expect it to be a little bit difficult.
So
Evolution has challenges to it.
So what are you working on? What's coming out? How can people get in touch with you? How can people work with you?
I'm currently working on a new book. I know we were originally set to have it out in July. However, with going through loss recently, there has been a postponement on that. So that book is actually it's called See the Soul, and it's about inner transformation and evolution, especially in the mystical path or ascension path that many people are on. And it's a beautiful book of transformation. So I'm really excited for that to come out. People can find me on my website at www.cargoss.com. You can find me on Facebook at Cargoss, Instagram Cargoss, Insight Timer for meditations, and YouTube as well for meditations to help pull in coherent energy or relax the nervous system or get a good night's sleep, or even with what we're seeing right now, difficult communication in the world. We have a transmission for that too on there. So whatever you might need, you might be able to find on Insight Timer too.
So I love it. So the book, just throwing it out there, that if you need reviews, let me know. I'm here to stand with you as we have done, and I would be honored. Caragos.com, and the book. So when is the new projection of it being launched?
We're looking at November, December timeframe at the moment.
I think that's really interesting though, that because you're, and again, everything happens exactly the way it's supposed to, that
Yes.
Instead of this middle of the year, we're coming to a close of this 2020 and looking towards the new year, which is a totally different emphasis. I think it's exactly where it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I totally agree. I could not agree more. I was like, yeah, this is definitely in alignment for sure. So
okay, everyone, caragos.com. We're gonna we'll be having you back for when the book is launched. I can't wait. And again, check out her chapter and step into your brilliant purpose. She's amazing. And thank you, my friend, for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Bye, everybody.